Hello, Chris. How are you? I hear you are writing a proposal. That's cool. What are you doing your research on? Something exciting, I hope, with some spice and a little flavor.
No, Tawana, nothing as exciting as, say, does a free gift card increase a person's attitude towards shopping malls? But just as importantly anyway. To you, me, and our future as non-traditional adult learners attending school on a part-time basis.
Wow. Chris, that sounds really important, but who cares? We are only attending college part. We are not a part of the mainstream four-year students who live on campus. Who will care about us?
That is not true. Tawana, did you know the fastest growing population on college campuses throughout the United States are non-traditional students like you and I who are attending 2- and 4-year programs on a part-time basis? Of the 21 million participants in degree programs today, 13.5 million students are part-time students just like you and me.
That is amazing, Chris, but what is there to study? If we know this already, then what are you proposing?
Don't you see it? There is something very wrong with the retention and graduation rate of non-traditional learners, and my proposal will take another look at the issue from the theoretical lens of an American student of African descent who is attending an online distance educational program on a part-time basis. And studying instructional designs too, I might add. By seeing what is wrong, I will be able to design what is right.
Okay, now I understand, but what about women? Does your proposal address these concerns from a woman's perspective?
For women, one of the most urgent reasons for returning to school is divorce. In addition, the issue of childcare and family support for their decision. Surprisingly though, while this segment of the student body continues to plummet, educational institutions continue to turn a blind eye and view higher education as serving primarily the students who leaves home and moves into the dorms for 4 years of full-time study, homecomings, and spring breaks, when in fact this segment of college population is the minority and continues to shrink in size.
So we are non-traditional students, you say? I never heard it described like that before. Tell me more.
While Tawana, non-traditional students typically work full-time and have a family to care for. As a result of this, the social integration into campus life is not a priority to this student body. Academic integration, graduation, and what a degree will mean for them and their family is an important priority and is what drives this segment of the new student body.
You have never been more correct, Chris. Like me, most non-traditional learners attend evening courses online or in a blended format, with some online courses and some on-campus courses. A lot of my friends who would be described as non-traditional learners have been out of school for a number of years and find themselves unprepared for the rigors of a college workload. Is that what your findings show?
A little, but surprisingly what I found is in response to this alarming trend is a call to action has gone out from instructional designers, educational administrators, scholars, and educators from all disciplines who yearn to advance the educational arguments supporting the need for more adult retention-supported programs and policies that are designed for and around non-traditional students, especially male students of African and Latino American descent.
I had some talk in one of my social networking groups that in a not-so-recent longitudinal study on persistence and degree attainment, findings have shown that non-traditional students were twice as likely as traditional students to leave or stop out of school in their first year. Is your proposal addressing this?
Yes, Tawana, it is. Today's non-traditional learners have a life-centered orientation to learning, as opposed to traditional learners who possess a type of subject-centered orientation. Their readiness and orientation to learning are intrinsically tied together.
So, just let me recap for you. If this distinct and yet very diverse population of the student body who are either seeking a degree or some form of a certification is going to prosper on the 21st century campuses and online portals, then the design, development and implementation of special support programs for them must be provided and maintained. Is that what you're saying? Tell me yes it is.
By George, I think you have gotten it. Programs like New Student Orientation helps non-traditional learners with the academic integration of a new learning program. Learning contracts are a good tool for facilitating self-directed learners that works in giving students time to try out the school before they make a financial decision to stay is another best practice to be addressed.
That all sounds real good, Chris, but I gotta tell ya, ain't nobody got time for that. Research studies on the impact of adult retention programs and policies has spanned more than 4 decades. There are more books, journals, and scholarly research on the subject of student retention to fill a small library. Chris, over the years this research has gone through many changes, from the understanding of cultural, economic, social and, yes, educational institutional factors that affect retention rates of non-traditional students. Where will your proposal take us? We have not already been?
My proposal will highlight the importance of classroom involvement. The classroom is the one place where students can collaborate, engage with the teacher and exchange ideas. If this experience is not good, the likelihood of retaining the student diminishes greatly. I will address this using a qualitative research method. The one certainty to come of this research proposal is a consensus that there is a growing gap between research and practice on the issue of academic engagement of the non-traditional learner is viewed as the single most contributing factor to the retention and graduation rates of the segment of the new student body.
Well, Chris, simply knowing why students leave does not necessarily tell us why they stay, does it? In addition, this information does not show what, if anything, educational institutions can do to help this population stay. They will say it's all boils down to motivation of the adult learner, attitude towards education, and take a hand-off approach to making any retention initiatives or changes to pedagogy methods on educating adult learners. I have seen this before, heard this before. Something will start but die out when the designer gets a promotion or tenure.
Let me tell this, while research has shown that integration and engagement of non-traditional learners does increase retention and so graduation rates, what I am proposing is a theoretical model for institutional action that provides guidelines for the development of effective policies and programs that institution can reasonably employ to enhance the persistence of all their students, and not just the non-traditional one who happen to be of African or Latino descent. And women too. The development of such a model would describe, in a coherent, interrelated manner, how different institutional actions impact student persistence in varying ways and degrees in both 2- and 4-year programs. Now, how does that sound for a proposal?
Yeah, Chris, but to be really effective and relevant, your model must also speak to the influences of state policies and practices on institutional behaviors and retention practices. If there is no financial incentive, the likelihood of any longevity project diminishes greatly after the first few funding cycles. You know that, right?
Sure, it has been acknowledged that because accrediting agencies and the federal government do not require educational institutions to collect graduation and retention rate data for part-time, non-traditional students, there's very little encouragement or motives for educational institutions to take the lead.
Well, what I see here, Chris, is an opportunity for additional educational research that might focus on the financial aspect of retention or the impact of accountability and funding sources on institutional retention and graduation rates.
Another area of where more research is called for is on the types of programs and institutional practices that lead to successful implementation of program and do so in a way that helps them to endure long after the originator has gone. What do you think? Gonna help?
I ain't got no time for that. Well, maybe a little time first. Tell me your reason for combining both qualitative and quantitative data.
The reasoning behind my mixed methods form of research is to better understand the research problem of retention of non-traditional students of African and Latino American descent by converging both qualitative and quantitative data, thus increasing my position to advocate for change through the design and development of credit and non-credit-based courses that academically engages the learners and make them a part of the learning process. In addition, learning spheres promote social integration among adult learners. By setting the right expectations, we all win.
Well, all that sounds good, Chris, but like I said before, I ain't got no time for that. I gotta go get my nails done, and then rado my kitchen, and I am flying out of here to New York tomorrow, so I got to go shop. But I do want to hear about your proposal, and as an added bonus I will participate in your study. Consider me a personally developed lead.